Stories.
The rules clearly state no structures within 10 feet of the curb, and these papers prove you were notified.
This plat map, however,
At 4:27 a.m. on May 3, 2024, my porch lights snapped on like a prison yard, and a red strobe painted my living room walls while cold air slid under the door. I opened it half awake, coffee breath still in my mouth, and saw my driveway mailbox wrapped in fresh white paper like a mummy. Staples glinted in the streetlight. The whole Cul De Sac was quiet except for a distant engine and the wet smell of asphalt after a late sprinkler cycle. Taped to my mailbox was a thick packet, and someone had written final notice in angry marker. My name was spelled wrong. My address was right. I stood there in socks, flipping pages while my fingers went numb, and I felt that hot, stupid panic of being accused of something you didn't even know you did. By the time the sun came up, I understood the stunt. HOA posted 63 pages of rules on my Cul De Sac driveway mailbox, then I pulled the plat map, and that was the whole fight in one sentence. The packet wasn't even in a folder. It was loose, flapping like a surrender flag in the breeze. It said my mailbox post was the wrong shade of black. It said my gravel was the wrong size. It said my trash can was visible for 8 minutes past pickup. 8 minutes. At the bottom, there was a fine warning that jumped from $0 to $250, like a little cash grab on a pogo stick. And the signature line had one name, Denise Harkins, HOA president. The neighborhood Karen. The one who smiled like she was doing you a favor while she called you a problem. I tried to be normal about it. I walked to the clubhouse office at 9:00 a.m. with the packet under my arm and my patience already leaking out. Denise was there with her peppermint coffee and her fake calm. I said, "Hey, you stapled this to my mailbox in the dark. That feels extreme." She didn't blink. She said the board approved it and I should be grateful for guidance. I asked why I never got a warning letter first. She said, "Check my email, sweetie." Like we were friends. I pulled up my inbox right there. Nothing. Not even spam. Two neighbors stood in the hallway pretending to read a flyer, but their eyes were on the floor. One gave me a tiny shake of the head like, "Don't poke the bear." Denise slid a form toward me and said appeal in writing and expect a response in 30 days. 30 days. While my fine started now. That afternoon, I hit my line in the sand. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to vandalize anything. I wasn't going to do anything dumb. I was going to use paper. Real paper. Receipts. I started a binder like I was building a case for the universe. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. I took pictures of the packet on my mailbox. I took pictures of the staples. I took pictures of my mailbox from 3 angles like it was a crime scene. Then I filed a public records request with the county for every HOA complaint tied to my address, plus any enforcement actions on my street. I didn't even know if that would work, but I knew one thing. Denise loved rules. So I decided to bring rules that didn't have her name on them. 3 days later, the county email hit my phone at 7:18 p.m., and I almost dropped it in my sink. The subject line said records ready. The file landed with 63 pages. 63 pages. Not just about me. About my whole little Cul De Sac. There were complaints logged at weird times, and the same handwriting showed up like a ghost signature. I printed everything and added it to the binder. Then I grabbed the plat map from the county site, the boring black and white diagram nobody looks at until someone tries to bully you. And there it was. The line that mattered. My mailbox sat in the city right-of-way, not on HOA-controlled property. Denise couldn't enforce paint color on a post that wasn't even hers. I wrote it out in plain words for myself, because I knew she'd try to twist it. Timeline item 1 April 5 at 4:27 a.m. false trespass call. Timeline item 2 May 3 at 4:27 a.m. rules packet stapled to mailbox. Timeline item 3 May 6 at 7:18 p.m. public records received. My hands were shaking, but now it was from excitement. The next HOA meeting was May 10, 2024, and I came in calm, holding my binder like it weighed 100 pounds. Denise sat at the front table with a smug little smile, like she expected me to beg. People were packed in tighter than usual, because word travels fast when someone gets publicly humiliated by paperwork. A teenager in the back had a phone up, filming like it was a show. Denise called my name and said I was in violation and the board would vote on fines tonight. I stood up and said I brought evidence, and I'd like it entered into the meeting record. Denise tried to laugh it off. I opened the binder and held up the Plat map printout big enough for everyone to see. I pointed to the line. I said my mailbox is in the city right-of-way. The HOA has no authority over it. The room went quiet for 1 second, and then you could hear the whispers start, like wind. Denise snapped that I was wrong and her rules apply to the whole neighborhood. I asked her to read the Plat map out loud. She couldn't. Her face went red, and someone in the back actually snorted. That's when the real flip happened. I told the room I also had public records showing a pattern of complaints coming from one source, always at odd hours, always targeting the same houses. I didn't say her name yet. I just slid copies to the board members like I was handing out menus. Then I said one plain thing that made Denise's jaw tighten. Patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. The board attorney, who had been half asleep, suddenly sat up straight. A guy 2 rows over whispered, "Bro, she's cooked," and somebody laughed too loud. Denise tried to cut me off, but the board president pro tem asked for order and told her to let me finish. I showed the complaint count tied to my address alone, 11 complaints in 60 days. 11. And I showed the timestamps that matched the same early morning hour. The teenager filming zoomed in so hard you could hear the phone camera focusing. Denise started talking fast, blaming community standards, but nobody was buying it now. 2 weeks later, the city code inspector came out at 2:15 p.m. on May 24, 2024, because I filed a simple report about unauthorized postings on a right-of-way mailbox and possible misuse of HOA enforcement. He took one look at the staple holes and shook his head. Then he walked the Cul De Sac and found Denise's little surprise, a private HOA sign planted too close to the curb, also in the city right-of-way, plus a hedge she had pushed past the line on the Plat map like she owned the street. The inspector wrote citations on the spot. The fines weren't $250. They were bigger, and they were real. Denise didn't get arrested or anything dramatic like that, but she got something worse. Official paperwork that couldn't be bullied. At the next meeting, she resigned for personal reasons, and the board voted to wipe out my fines and rewrite the enforcement policy so no one could do surprise punishments again. That night, a neighbor dropped off banana bread and said, "Thanks for standing up. We've all been scared." I went back out to my driveway mailbox, ran my hand over the clean post, and for the first time in weeks, the Cul De Sac felt like home again. Please follow for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.